The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, we got the Danny Garcia, Errol Spence Jr. fight this weekend. It's going to be a great event. You know, there's a lot at stake. You know, Errol Spence Jr., it's his first fight since the car crash. So there's a lot for him to prove going into this fight, but we're going to use this video to not look at what Errol Spence has got to do, because Errol Spence is the favorite. Let's look at the underdog, Danny Garcia, because I have a lot to say in regards to what he's got to do in this fight, you know, and just where he's at in his career right now. So when we talk about Danny Garcia, we're talking about a guy that was very dominant at 140, won some fights that he was the underdog in. You know, there were fighters that were said to take him to some deep, dark, uncomfortable places. And in the jaws of defeat, in the jaws of adversity, Danny Garcia showed that he had the mettle, the championship heart, the spirit, and the counter-punching ability to take himself to the top. And that's what he did against Amir Khan and Lucas Matisse, respectively, at 140. Then he stepped up to 147, you know, and in the fights that mattered, in the big fights against Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, respectively, he fought well enough to be competitive. He fought well enough in some cases to even win the fight. He wasn't dominated by any means, but he fell short, and he showed the inability to make adjustments that would allow him to win those fights. You see what I'm saying? So now he goes into the fight with Errol Spence, and if you ask 10 boxing fans about this fight, Errol Spence and Danny Garcia, you get 5 answers on one side and 5 answers on the other. You'll get 5 answers that say that Errol Spence is way better than Danny Garcia, and that this fight is basically a glorified tune-up fight, because the perception that people have, even though he only has 2 losses, is that Danny Garcia is the PBC gatekeeper, a high-level gatekeeper, but a gatekeeper nonetheless at 147 for PBC. You know, he's the guy that you beat to get to bigger and better fights, because he hasn't been able to win a big fight at 147. So that's the label that people are slapping on him. Whether it's fair or unfair is a debate for another day. But I'm just acknowledging that it's happening. Okay, that's what half people would say, and then the other half of people are saying that this is a very dangerous fight for Errol Spence, and he's got to worry about it because Danny Garcia has got everything to gain, nothing to lose, which I think is fair. I think that's a fair point as well. Danny Garcia does have a lot to gain, and I don't think he has much to lose. But what I will say is this: Danny Garcia needs to do the bare minimum. He needs to do more than just the minimum to win this fight. I need to see a Danny Garcia that in this fight shows a sense of urgency, because that's a problem that I've had with him for a long time. Pretty much his entire welterweight run, I've had this problem with Danny Garcia. I even in fights he won, I had these problems, because like even when he fought Brandon Rios, even though he knocked Brandon Rios the hell out, there were still points in that fight where, because Danny Garcia sometimes doesn't throw that many punches, or he'll land a good counter punch and not follow up, he allowed Brandon Rios to fight very well in spots of that fight. And luckily for him, he found the right shot later on, you know, and maybe that was part of the game plan, but he found the right shot later on and got him out of there with one punch. Because he's got that kind of get out of jail free card against a certain level of fighters at 147. He hasn't showed it against the top guys like Porter and Thurman and these kind of guys. So against Errol Spence, I think stylistically this is a winnable fight for Danny Garcia. Car accident, listen. Car accident or no car accident, I think this fight is very winnable for Danny Garcia, because Errol Spence, even when he boxes you, he's not a guy that uses his legs. He's gonna be there. He's gonna be in the pocket. He's gonna have those hands up. You know, his hand position. Errol Spence's hand positioning and his ability just to simply throw a 1-2 and bring his punches back and keep his hands up and never let his hands get out of place is among some of the best hand positioning in all of boxing. And I don't think it gets talked about enough. But in this fight, you know, because of the way Errol Spence fights and because of the way he moves his legs and things like that, Errol Spence is going to be able to be hit. Errol Spence is going to be there. Hello. How you doing? Errol Spence is going to be able to be hit with counter punches, and he's going to be able to be timed. And when those, my plea is this video is more, it's not only me telling Danny Garcia what he's got to do, but I'm begging him and I'm pleading with him in this fight with Errol Spence. Danny, please, DSG, someone, Team DSG's trainer, DSG's strength and conditioning coach, any of y'all, if y'all watch this video, because I know sometimes people in the boxing world do watch these videos, I'm urging Danny Garcia. I'm not asking him to become Manny Pacquiao. I'm not asking him to become Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez and throw 6-punch combinations. But what I am asking for Danny Garcia is, when those moments of this fight come, when Errol Spence is there to be hit, and Danny Garcia will catch him with something. At some point in this fight, Danny Garcia is going to counter Errol Spence with something, and it's going to look great, and it's going to be a clean shot. When it happens, have a shot to follow up with. Have a shot or two to follow up with. Do not land a shot and take a picture. Do not be here, okay? Land a good counter uppercut, and then sit there and pose and not do nothing. Throw another shot after that. Take Errol Spence to places he hasn't been before in his boxing career, because I know he fought Sean Porter. In all respect to Errol Spence for fighting Sean Porter, because Sean Porter is a true warrior of the sport, and he deserves all the respect put on his name, because he has been taken to deep waters and dark places so many times, and he's answered the bell. And Sean Porter has went above the call of duty. He's a throwback fighter in every sense of the word. But Errol Spence in his whole boxing career has never been hit with the kind of power that Danny Garcia possesses. And what pisses me off about Danny Garcia, right, is he's got good reflexes, and he's got hand speed fast enough to where, like, if he put his punches together, they would cause fighters some serious problems. But he has his habit of only fighting in one gear, at one pace, because it worked for him at 140. It worked for him at 140. He was able to get away with it against Khan and Matisse. But at 147, it hasn't worked for him in the big fights. So you failed against Thurman. You failed against Porter. Whether you thought you won or not is up for debate. Official decision, unfortunately, from the judges was that you lost. A lot of times you make these fights closer than they gotta be, because you don't turn the volume up on these punches just a little bit. I'm not asking you to be Manny Pacquiao. I'm not asking you to be Romo Gonzalez. I'm not asking you to be Riddick freaking Bowe. I'm asking you to be DSG, be Danny Garcia, be the same smart, intelligent, tough, gritty, durable, counter-punching fighter that you are. But when those counter-punching opportunities come and you land, have that second and third shot ready to throw. Don't take a picture. This ain't Kodak. This ain't the phone booth at your local arcade. This ain't freaking class picture day in grade school. This is the square circle. This is boxing. This is pay-per-view boxing. This is world championship, world-class, creme de la creme, top shelf, pay-per-view boxing on PBC. And we want to see a pay-per-view performance from Danny Garcia. Because, look, there's a lot at stake. Right now, Danny Garcia is looked at as a guy that's not got it done at 147. But if he wins this fight against Errol Spence, in my opinion, if he beats Errol Spence in this fight, I'm not gonna discredit this win at all. I'm looking at this win as the kind of win that puts Danny Garcia in the Boxing Hall of Fame. It does, because Errol Spence right now is regarded as the number one welterweight by many people in the world. Many people who know a lot about boxing regard him as the number one welterweight in the world. I think he's got a very legitimate claim to that. So if he beats him, and you put that with Khan and Matisse and everything he's done in his career, where he's came from, we're looking at a guy that will be well on his way to an induction ceremony at Canastota, New York, in Danny Garcia. But like I said, he can't fight in the same pace that he's used to. He's got to push that pace just a little bit. We're not asking for a whole lot. Just that extra little bit of quality will be all the difference in this fight with Errol Spence. And Errol Spence is going to be there. Errol Spence is not going to turn into Floyd Mayweather. He's not going to turn into Pernell Whitaker. He's going to be in that pocket. He'll have his hands in good position. He's going to be looking to dig to that body. And when look, Danny, when Errol Spence is digging to that body, he's going to be there to be counted up top by left hook. And we know that Danny Garcia, we know that you got one of the best left hooks in the business. So this isn't me saying what he should or he shouldn't do. Well, actually, no, it is me saying what he should do. But it's a plea for Danny Garcia to not just, don't to go in there and have a couple of good moments and fight well enough for people to say that you're an underrated fighter. Don't fight one of those fights. We've seen it already. Go in there and leave it all in the ring. Go in there and turn in a statement performance and remind the world why you're Danny Garcia. Remind them of why you got that big name in the first place. That nobody gave you that fucking nickname. You earned that nickname. So I'm hyped for this fight. We will be live for this fight on True School Sports. You will get a live fight reaction extravaganza for this fight on True School Sports. I'll be there. Me and Pops probably. But yeah, that's my take on the Danny Garcia side of things. I think in this fight, he just gotta be the guy he's always been, but fight with more of an urgency when those moments come where he lands those counter shots, had that second and third shot ready to throw. So that's my take on that's my take on Danny Garcia. Let me know what you guys think down below about what he's doing, what he should do with this fight. How should he approach it? How does he beat Errol Spence? Do you give him any chance against Errol Spence? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.